Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to install Symbolics Open Genera under a Linux virtual machine inside of Microsoft Windows 8. So before you get started, you want to make sure you have VirtualBox installed along with the guest editions, and you want to make sure that you can run a 64-bit virtual machine on your computer. You also need the Xming X server for Windows, which can be found at SourceForge. PuTTY for accessing X11 over Secure Shell, and you need to download the Open Genera 2.0 distribution, which I cannot give you a link to. Alright, so once you have all of these downloaded and good to go, go ahead and open up VirtualBox, create a new machine. I've already got one named Genera, but I'll just call this one Genera 2. You want it to be a Linux machine, and switch it to Ubuntu 64-bit. I'll go ahead and give it about, 4 gigs of RAM. Create a new hard drive, VDI, dynamic. Generally, 8 gigs or so is good to go. And then go into the settings. You can go ahead and give it more than one processor for performance. Alright, so in the storage, go ahead and set your disk to the Gutsy Gibbon server 64-bit ISO you downloaded. And then go to the network settings. Under Adapter 1, click Advanced, click Port Forwarding, and we need to add a new rule. Name it SSH. We'll make the host IP 30, or not the host IP, sorry, the host port 3022, and we'll make the guest port 22. This is so we can forward the X11 server over the virtual machine through SSH. So after that's done, go ahead and start up your machine. Install to the hard disk. If you want, feel free to go ahead and skip through this. There's only a couple specific settings that I need. The installation is pretty straightforward, like normal. The only thing that I do is I change the host name and the username. And because this is the host name, I'm going to make genera-host, enter. Use entire disk, yes, yes. The only thing that's not going to go well with this installation is when it tries to connect to the network to download extra packages, it's not going to find it, because since the Gutsy Gibbon release, Eastern Time, yes, Lisp machine, this is not necessary, give it a password. But yeah, since the Gutsy Gibbon release, they've since switched over their apt repository to old releases instead of their old archive.ubuntu.com. So it'll give you an error message at some point, but it'll keep installing. Hopefully this will go fairly quick. We don't need a proxy. Here's the error message I was talking about. Just hit enter for continue. Don't need anything additional. Hit enter. Alright, so we're done installing. Go to continue. It'll automatically eject the ISO so it doesn't boot back into it when it starts up. We'll go ahead and let the system boot up for the first time, and then we need to make some changes so that the system can download required software. Alright, so my user is Lisp M with a password of password. Alright, so the first thing you need to do is sudo nano your apt sources. Password. Alright, so go ahead and remove the deb CD-ROM lines because we're not using that. Alright, and it's going to comment out anything it could not connect to. So any line you see that's got deb and it's got a hash in front of it, just go ahead and delete the hash sign. And if you don't want to use Nano, you can use your editor of choice. But I like Nano. Alright, so after we remove all those, we need to replace the old repository name with the new one. So hit Control /, and the first thing we need to replace is us.archive. Hit enter, and replace it with old-releases. Hit enter, A to replace all. And then do the same thing, Control /. The next one we need to replace is security dot, and we'll replace it with the same thing, old-releases. Hit A to replace all, and that's it. Hit Control O, enter to save, Control X to exit, and then we need to update our apt repositories. Oh, sudo. And then after this is done, we need to go ahead and update the system, which shouldn't take too long. Alright, then sudo apt-get upgrade, yes. And it's going to download all the updates it needs to get. In the meantime, one of the other requirements you need besides VirtualBox, and I mentioned being able to install a 64-bit machine, but in order to do that, your processor needs to support it first, and then you need to install the VirtualBox guest editions, because it's got some features that we're going to need. And on top of that, oh, no, I think that was about it. Okay, so we're done updating the system. The first thing you need to do after that, we need to install some essential packages. So sudo apt-get install dkms, which is for VirtualBox guest editions. Build essential, which we need to compile the guest editions. We need Linux headers generic. The headers for this current distribution. We need xorg, open SSH server, NFS utils, NFS user server, inet utils, inetd, and I'm pretty sure that was it. Oh, sorry, NFS common, not NFS utils. And once again, this is going to take a minute, so I'll probably cut this out. You need to download the Open Genera emulator that works on x86 64-bit architecture, which can be found at this link here. It's at unlambda.com, run by Brad Parker. It hasn't been updated in a couple of years, but the file is still available. So this is the link that we need. Just go ahead and go into your virtual machine and use wget to get that file. And I've already got it, so as can be seen above here. After that, we need to set up a couple configuration files. So we'll do sudo nano /etc/inetd.conf. Enter your password, and this is the data that needs to go in this file. It's set up so that the time server can properly give the time to Genera. So after that one, save it, close it. The next file you need to edit is the hosts file. So sudo nano /etc/hosts, and you need to add these two lines here. The first one is 10.0.0.2 for Genera, and the second one is 10.0.0.1 for Genera host. If this is an empty file, you can just add those two lines. If there's anything else already in the file, you can just go ahead and add it to the bottom or wherever you want. So write it out, close. The next one we need to edit is the exports file, which is for NFS. So sudo nano /etc/exports. And most of the time it'll have two commented outlines up at the top, but you can leave those there. So you need to do /space genera rw for read write, comma, no root squash, and that's going to export the entire file system of the virtual machine so that Genera can access it through NFS. So save it, close. The next thing that we need to do is restart all the services that we've updated. So sudo /etc/init.d/nfs user server space restart, and that'll restart the NFS server. And then we need to do sudo /etc/init.d/inetutils-inetd restart. That'll restart the internet server. Okay, so now we need to go ahead and extract the emulator. So we do tar xzvf snap4.tar.gz. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and remove these two files because I don't use them. The .vlm file inside of snap4 is just a template for the config. And then the readme, because I don't read readmes. And then let's see what we got left. Alright, good. So we'll go ahead and move the .vlm file to our home directory. Oops. Snap4. And yep, it's in there. So we'll go ahead and edit our config file. And there's a couple of lines. Anything that is commented out or is a blank line, and when I say commented, I mean it has a hash pound sign in front of it. Just go ahead and get rid of those lines and leave all the other ones. Okay, so this line, virtual memory, is how much virtual memory you want to give to Genera. I usually give it about 4 gigs. The world file is basically the default system you're gonna load up, and we haven't set this up yet, but just make it this path here and it will work as we're setting it up. So /var/lib/symbolics /genera-8-5.vlod. And the same thing for the debugger. Var lib symbolics VLM debugger. The cold load geometry, well, the cold load window is like a little boot screen window that just pops up when Genera is starting up. The geometry is how big it is, and it's like the same thing as any X11 window, so you can do +X +Y. Like if you wanted it 50 pixels from the top right corner, you could say it like that, or make it however. But you know, the default's cool with me. The next one you can do is to set the main size of the window. I like to set it as the same thing as my current resolution on Windows. So 720 +0 +0, which means it'll be in the top left corner. And that's all we need for this. So Control O, Enter, Control X, and then we need to make the symbolics directory. So say sdir equals /var/lib/symbolics, and we'll say sudo make dir sdir, and then we'll copy everything out of the snap4 directory. Oh, it's got to be sudo. We'll copy it out of the snap4 directory into our new symbolics directory. And then we can get rid of the old snap4 thing. Okay, so now we need to go ahead and set up PuTTY. If you haven't downloaded it yet, you can get PuTTY from this link right here. And I've already got it in my system, so I'll just open it up. Now I've created a session so that all I have to do is double click it and it'll load up. But all you need to do to set up a PuTTY session is give it the localhost IP, which if you don't know is 127.0.0.1, and make the port 3022, which is the one that we set up initially in VirtualBox's network settings. And then after that, go down to SSH under connection, and then go to X11 under that. And this will not be checked. Enable X11 forwarding, that's all you need to do. Go back to your session. You can type in a name here, it's Genera. Click save, that way all you gotta do is double click. It'll say, warning, potential security breach, blah blah blah. Mainly it's just because this is your first time connecting, just click yes. It's gonna ask you what to log in as, just put your user, and password, and you should connect just fine. If not, you know, debug it, figure it out, but go ahead and set up the shared folder so we can access our Genera file. I've just got it in my downloads folder. It's right there. Open genera2.tar.bz2. So in your virtual machine window, go to devices, machine settings, and go to shared folders, and add a new one, and click other, and browse to wherever your open Genera file is, my downloads, and click auto mount and make permanent, and we can just leave it like this, but this is whatever name you're gonna refer to it as. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and make a directory named D for our downloads to mount on. And we can say sudo mount -t VirtualBox SF. The name of it was downloads, and we want to mount it to home lispm/d. And then just make sure there's stuff in D. Alright, there is. So we'll copy d/open genera2.tar.bz2 to here. That'll take a second because it's, oh, we're good. Alright, so list, alright, we've got it. And then we can go ahead and unmount our shared folder and remove that directory. We're not really going to use it anymore. So what we need to do is extract the BZ2 as an administrator. So xvfga open genera2.tar.bz2, and it will extract. This will take a little bit longer than copying it because it's compressed pretty well. Alright, so ls, and it extracted to the OG2 folder, so we'll look inside there, and there's a folder called sys.sct within the OG2 folder. So what we need to do is, as administrator, copy OG2/sys.sct to our Symbolics directory, or the ester. Oh, I'm sorry. You need to add the -R flag to recursively copy a folder. And I'll copy everything, alright. And then inside of our Symbolics directory, we need to make a new folder, rel-8-5, and then we need to link the system folder we just copied inside of that folder. And we'll check and make sure it's there. And it is. Okay, good. And we've got all the other stuff in there. We need to go ahead and exit out of there. It'll just go back to the login screen. And you need to make sure that you have the xming xserver installed at this point. After you install it, go ahead and get it running. As can be seen right here. Here's mine. Everything's running good. Go ahead and open up PuTTY and double click that. Log in. Alright. So go ahead and reset your Symbolics directory. Make sure it's correct. Okay, so we need to move the Genera executable from the Symbolics directory to the local user bin. So sudo move ester/genera to user local bin. Password, and then just make sure it's in there, and make sure it's not in your Symbolics directory. Okay, and I'm just gonna pull PuTTY up from scratch just to show how quick it can be to go into this, if everything worked right. Password, and then all you should have to do, assuming everything was done right, is type sudo genera and hit enter. And alright, we're working good so far. Fortunately, it will let me maximize the window. The first thing you need to do is define a site, and you don't have to type the word completely, it does word completion. And I'm just gonna call this new Genera. The primary namespace server is just Genera in all lowercase, and the name of the DEC-AXP host on which OpenGenera is running is Genera host, or the host name of your machine. And then just click use these values. It'll bitch a little bit, but you know, it'll work. And then you can say reset network, login, Lisp machine, optimize world, and if you want to see some extra details, you can put the keyword show after it. And then yes. Do you really want to optimize? Yes. And it'll garbage collect and clean up really quick. And whenever it's done with this, we can say save world, and you can give it a file name to save the world. So I'm just gonna put it in the home directory named test.vlod. Hit enter. Are you satisfied? Yes. Yes. It will close down, reopen, and if everything worked, which it did, it will show you this. And then to close Genera without any errors, you say halt Genera. Yes, yes, and it will ask on the cold load screen to hit yes. And then back in PuTTY, list your home directory, and you've got a test.vlod file. So go ahead and nano your config file, and I'll keep this in here just so we can see it. Comment it out with the hash #, and we'll point to our new one. Genera.world equals home lispm test.vlod. Control O, enter, Control X, and then we'll say sudo genera again. And if everything works, it will say it's using our test.vlod file, which it did. Loaded from Genera host, home, lispm, test.vlod. So as can be seen, you can save a world and it works just fine. The rest of it is up to you to experiment with, and believe me, there is a lot to experiment with. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope this is useful.